Dolphins fans and the rest of the NFL fans, welcome to another episode of the Fins Bandwagon. I'm your host, Evan Posner, Fins Pos on Twitter, and my long-lost brother who I missed last week, Michael Vogel, Fins Fan 72. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I am great. I'm a little exhausted at the same time. As soon as the show's over, I'm sure I'm going to crash out. Took a trip to Indiana to see my mama, who I don't get to see very often. So I'm here doing the podcast in her little side room here. Feels more like a studio than when I'm at my own home.
Oh my
but
God.
Yeah, the family all just left and ready to talk some Dolphins.
All right. Was the drive okay?
It was. It went surprisingly well. Yeah. It went. Yeah, it was. You leave at that time of night. There's not a lot of traffic, so
I get it.
Yeah.
All right. So tonight, what we did last week, were just because in your absence, I didn't want to be all by myself. Since it's quiet time being the Dolphins, we did a little bit of an open mic. It was a little bit of a late start when people wanted to join, so Bobby had to sort of. It was very nice to allow me to extend the show a little bit. But no, it was really. It was a lot of fun just to get different perspectives. So Bobby's going to drop the link. And at one point, if anyone wants to join or just jump on, we'll watch out for the private chat. But guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're continuing to grow to 1,000 subscribers. And it's just fun to be here every Tuesday night with all of you, whether you watch the show now or later. Thank you, Ben. Even my buddy Ben yesterday, last week, joined the show. And we just sat there and he learned a little bit about Dolphins. I told him by the end of by beginning of September, he has to name at least 25 players on the starting Miami Dolphins roster or he's fired. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun, but one of the topics I talked about, which we talked about the title of the show, but I want to give you your feedback on what you've been thinking going on with the Dolphins a little bit, was why it's so cool to be a Dolphins fan. And you could just see by the last couple days how the Dolphins are always in the news still, between Tua's event yesterday. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Tua and the video that dropped with him and Nick Hicks and River Craycraft and Cheetah and Penguin and all that. And we're going to talk about what he's doing development wise. And then Mike McDaniel and the stories going on with him. He was at UFC.
That was at the UFC event, right?
Yeah. It was just a lot of fun there, and then just Cheetah talking about the 3-year window. But so far, what have you been doing? What have you been reading about the Dolphins over the last 2 weeks since you couldn't join the show last week?
Well, I'll tell you, it is like for not being to the promised land in so long, like it feels refreshing because you feel like there are pieces starting to come into place, You finally have a head coach that people believe in. He's also a good offensive play caller. I mean, we had the number 6 offense in the league last year. Then you go out and you get Fangio for defensive coordinator, who could easily have a top 10 defense or higher this year. And then just, Jalen Ramsey coming on board and, some of these other picks coming on. And then, seeing Mike McDaniel schmooze, at the UFC event, like it feels like it's a legit opportunity, if we keep saying Tua, but if we stay healthy as a team, it's going to be, I think it could be a very fun year.
Yeah. For me, we're not even it's been very quiet on the draft front a little bit. So it's nice to just until the draft, because we're about
2 weeks.
We're 2.5 weeks. So 2 weeks and 2 days before draft time. We're going to be having a lot of fun with that. We're going to have wall-to-wall coverage with that. Wherever we are, we're going to be talking Dolphins. Hopefully there's rumors going up that we might trade up. We're going to see what's going on there. But let's just talk about a few of the headlines until someone might want to join the show and give their perspective. So the main story last week at the beginning of the week on why it was cool to be a Dolphins fan is because of Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is just an absolute cool guy. He's our super elite star. He's the reason why a lot of eyes were on us at the beginning of during offseason last year that we were able to grab him. He talked about how in 3 years from now, at the end of his contract, he's going to call it quits and go into gaming, because that's what Tyreek Hill does. He just likes to create news. The ironic part about that is that he has 4 years left on his contract, but the 4th year, which is sort of an option, we owe him like $65 million the way it's restructured. So even if he made it to 4 years, they'd have to restructure his contract or cut him or trade him, which they wouldn't do anyways.
Right.
But the fact is, he'll be 32, 33 years old. He's going to be at a point where he doesn't want to hurt himself anymore. He doesn't want to, potentially, because he's a small guy, he doesn't necessarily want to become a slot receiver. But for me, I personally didn't take offense to that because a lot of stars talk about how they want to retire early. He's already won a Super Bowl. The guy's already a potential Hall of Famer. But for me, the window is so tight for the Dolphins right now in terms of what they're trying to accomplish over the next 2 or 3 years. So it didn't really bother me. But what was your overall reaction? How did you react to hearing that news where he was saying on Kansas City radio that he says in 3 years, I'm done?
I'm honestly not that surprised. I mean, if you think about the average length of the typical NFL players, 3 years max, and he's talking about hanging it up at 10. It sounds right. He's not that big a dude. He's taken some hits here and there, but he's also electrified. He's electrified the city of Miami. I mean, I think he was, with him being Tua's biggest cheerleader, coming on board and all that stuff. I think that obviously that helped Tua believe in himself more than, when Flores was here and cutting him down left and right. So I don't see him going much longer than that. If he's saying it's at 10 years, I completely see that. Yeah. And he's just electric, man. The dude's just electric to be around, and you can see it. Talking shit with on Twitter about us playing Kansas City this year and him throwing up the peace sign and the dude from Kansas City saying the only peace sign you're gonna be throwing from the bus on your way out of here or whatever. Like it's just fun.
The news, right? It's fun.
Especially fun. This time of year. Especially this time of year.
You have to have filler, right?
Right.
We'll be resetting in 3 years, just like Rob said. Steve, Rob, thank you guys for joining. We were following your show. Now you're following ours. Great content back to back. It was great to have Barry Cunningham on your show. Much appreciated you're able to get those cool guests. For me, honestly, like he just brings the fun to this team, and it just creates this sense of when you have a player like that, you have a chance to win because he only wants to be a winner. And for him, he only wants to win. He knows his windows now. He's not looking for a down year. Trust me, if they are willing to pay him a good amount of money to continue to play in 4 years and the team continues to win, he's going to stay. That's his mindset right now. The gaming will give him an opportunity to expand because the guy does gaming on YouTube, does all this other fun stuff on the side. He's a young guy. He's still in his 20s.
Would you say that Wilkins is probably his equal on the defensive side of the ball as far as his funness and trying to have fun throughout a game? And
it's funness, but Christian Wilkins doesn't have the what do you call it? I don't think he has the star power yet.
Right.
The closest thing to him coming up, and I would say in our team 3 years from now, the Tyreek Hill of our team on defense is going to be Snowman. It's going to be Javon Holland. Like if you notice in Javon, the way that he jokes around there, if you actually watch a lot of the videos, Snowman, proud Canadian, he goes around and doing fun videos during the locker room. He's the rah guy in terms of the jokester. Wilkins is more on the field joke, but and the celebrations and all that. But Javon Holland, I think, is more the jokester of that group. So for me, I think it's just a lot of fun. Then you talk about Mike McDaniel. So I used to make the joke on this network how when I needed a cure for insomnia, I used to watch. I reset and I watched Brian Flores press conferences.
Oh my god!
I literally the boredom, and so basically the whole thing with Mike McDaniel, how everyone's gravitated to him. He's the coolest guy in the room. How funny he is, his quirkiness. People thought he was. People are so attracted to this concept. The fact that the association to him and Aaron Donald, like making him laugh, the way he's engaging with him, like Brian Flores, Adam Gase, Joe Phil, none of these guys, most of these guys, there aren't a lot of cool coaches in the NFL. He is quirky, cool. If you ask any beat writer who's been interviewed about this week with him hooking up with Mike McDaniel, Aaron Donald at UFC and all that, they all talk about how when they go to a press conference, they thought last season that his dry, quick humor would die off after a couple games. Yeah. Even during the 5-game losing streak, he found a way to make them laugh. Even when Tua got hurt in that Cincinnati game, he still had a little bit of dry humor, right? Like there's something about him as a person, as a human being, how real he is. How he's not different. It makes you feel cool. You want to I made this joke once. We talked about it one time when I talked about Mike Brown on Bottom Up Fins Up, how you'd want to have him over for supper because you just want to hang out with this guy. And that's what I think what's going to gravitate people to this team. It's like, why wouldn't you want to go through a wall for this guy? He wants to be your friend as well as your coach. And that's what makes it fun. So what do you think about the coolness of Mike?
He gets it. Like like when they asked him was it last week somebody asked him about, making it to the playoffs? He's like, okay, yeah, no, that's over with. Like, we made the playoffs, and it's not going to be okay just to make the playoffs. Like, our goal is to make the playoffs and then proceed in get further in the playoffs every year until we reach the ultimate goal. Like that, that's what you want to hear. Like, Flores was too Belichick for me. Like, just put you to sleep. Even if you woke up from a 40-year slumber, you hear him talking, you're like, oh shit, let's just.
Because yes, it's about X's and O's, but even if you joke around, think about the coaches. Sirianni this year was a fun coach on the sideline. Andy Reid, who's been a coach forever, the whole thing with the cheeseburgers and the dancing around and that, he understands this year. He understands he had to adapt to this kind of player. You have to be rah, rah, rah. You have to be with them. You have to be on their side. These players are not like the players of 20 years ago, 30 years ago, where you have to kick their asses. These guys train no matter what you tell them what to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to be at it. They do it on their own. So for me, there's just that quirkiness, that sense of the fact that it hasn't gotten old yet just tells you how unique he is as a coach.
Right.
And that, yes, he has to develop as a coach, but at the same time, what he's doing as a human being is just something that makes you want to be a Dolphins fan. You want to look him up. You want to see what fun he's doing today. Like, he is really must-see TV. Like, even on the sideline, this little scrawny guy is must-see TV just by his reactions to everything. It's just
well, when you watch the episodes of him like mic'd up and he's talking shit to Alabama, I mean, Tua's out there warming up, whatever, and he's like, Georgia's the greatest team in the nation right now, and Tua's not paying any attention. He's just trying to mess with him. It's about keeping it light.
And you know what the best part was is that when Flores was here and other coaches were here, they never wanted to truly have. Like, I always joked around that there was no star players here since Marino. He had Ricky Williams, but we never had star players here since Marino. This guy loves star players, and he knows how to handle them. Flores didn't want to have star players or star coaches.
He wanted to be the alpha. He wanted to be the alpha.
He wanted to be the alpha. But think about it, even the coaching staff. Brian Flores is not bringing in Vic Fangio. He's not bringing in big guys like that. He's not bringing in Tyreek Hill. He's not. These are guys he did not want to have around him.
Right.
Like, honestly, like, even if he wanted to replace Tua with Deshaun Watson, that was in spite of Tua. But and maybe to spit in the face of Greer. But for me, overall, the fact that this guy is not too big for his own britches being the head coach just shows you how 2023 he truly is, and he's the modern day head coach, which is, you want to know what? I'm a big fan, big fan. And you want to know what? Put it in his ear. You can't hold on to Christian Wilkins? Go get Aaron Donald in a year. I don't care.
Yeah.
Go have some fun.
Exactly.
Because trust me, Aaron Donald's not going to put up with the team that they're going to have in LA for much longer. He's going to either retire or want to go win another championship somewhere else.
That is a fact.
So,
that is a fact.
Speaking of Tua, let's talk about Uno. So you saw the video that everyone's been posting?
I haven't been on Twitter much.
Okay. I haven't been on Twitter. So Nick Hicks can perform. I don't know if Bobby has it. Bobby probably can't pull it up that quick.
He's working out with a bunch of guys.
He's working out with Craycraft. He's working out with Cheetah, and he's working out with Penguin. He's working out with Waddle, and how they're trying to show how little he was last season. How he always had a lower core, but his upper core between his neck and his shoulders. You've seen a significant, and people are going to joke around about the jitsu, but you can see he's developing. He did it last year, but you can already see he's a bigger, stronger guy. So he's taking his workout seriously. So people can make fun of it all they want, but you know what? As long as he's willing to show that growth, for me, I think it's amazing. Like, I think the fact that this guy continues to just want to get better as a quarterback and knows the guy truly loves the game. You want to know why? He could have walked away. The guy truly wants to be a warrior on that field and truly wants to prove something to somebody and to himself that he is a capable quarterback and that he's not going to be a bust. And he will do. That's why I truly believe that last year was an aberration for him concussion-wise, because you want to know what? I think he learned from his mistakes, meaning that if you look at year 2 to year 3, he was injured. Last year, he balled out. He learned from the concussions. This year, they even gave him more support on the defense, which will only help him a lot more. Welcome, Pappy Video. Good to see you. For me, you have the opportunity to join the show if you'd like tonight. for me, it just impresses me that the team is doing that. Like, we would never be able to expose that in Flores' years or past years. This would not be exposed. Everything would have to be hush hush. I love the transparency of the Miami Dolphins when it comes to this stuff. What is your thought on that? Like, the fact that you see the development, or you have an opportunity, you can look at it afterwards. But what is your perspective on the fact that it's also cool, like, about the fact that it's cool to be talking about your quarterback every day. It's cool to be talking about your quarterback every day, whether it's good or bad. It's good to be talking about.
Well, but how many other quarterbacks right now? How many other quarterbacks right now are out working out with their receivers and stuff? Like, you don't hear of many. You know what I'm saying? So to see Tua out there with, all of his,
and they're willing to go out there with them. Like, that's how much they believe in him. He doesn't have to be going out with them and paying. What do they have to prove? Right? What do they have to prove?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to prove it to anybody but himself, and he's, and like you said, like they're wanting to go out there and they're wanting to get that experience. And damn, does Waddle look good in his routes? That dude is a beast.
They all look amazing. But also, you know what I love about it is that with Cheetah, and also now we're talking about Tua because he had his Lua Foundation thing last night. Jason Taylor dancing and McDad. The roots in the community, and Tua was talking about how good he feels and how he's developing a lot. The roots of the community of Miami, and the point I was referencing to, people used to go. You want to go have the bright light? Go to LA. The bright lights of the NFL right now are in Miami. It's in South Florida. No taxes. Brady settled out here. The Stars settled out here during the offseason. Tyreek Hill is here. Tua's here. Waddle's here. Chubb is here. Ramsey's here. Actually, this is a destination place. And trust me, when they win again this year, they're going to get even more free agents because people are going to. If people feel there's a winning culture here, they're not only going to come here for the money. A lot of veterans are not just going to want to come here for the money. They're going to come here because they know they have the opportunity to win and be part of something great and part of a culture that is successful. That's what I love about it. It's cool to be a Miami Dolphins fan. I used to be a Miami Dolphins fan, and I used to walk places, and people used to say to me, like, "You're a Dolphins fan?" Mediocrity. Last season, no one questioned. People could bring up little topics here and there, but no one questioned the fact that the Dolphins have star power and that they're cool. People want to be Dolphin fans now, whether you're polarized or not. It's a cool thing to be. It's the it factor. And we're not we've been on the bandwagon. People who join now, we can call them bandwagoners, but we're the true bandwagon.
That's right. That's right.
Never fallen off, which is the best.
We are the Fins bandwagon, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So
live in living color.
Are there Dolphin fans in Winston-Salem and in North Carolina and Indiana?
Oh yeah. I don't know about Indiana. There's a couple that I have that are friends of mine that are in Winston-Salem in the surrounding area. So yeah, they've got a following.
Yeah. So, but overall, like, you see why it's cool to be a Dolphins fan? Like,
absolutely.
Why do you think it's? But outside of what we've said so far, like, what makes it cool to be a Dolphins fan for you? Like, what is the feel that you feel? Like, for me, it's a sense of just fun. It's never been more fun to be a Dolphins fan. Like, it's just, for me, it's just fun.
I agree with what you're saying. Like, it's just like it's like the off season buzz, like everything, like the players coming on board and the coaches coming on board and the Tua doing his stuff and people wanting to be there with him and showing support for him.
AJ,
like it just I don't know, like Mike McDaniel just has me feeling some type of way after the season. Like he just like
even had me feeling so good at the end of the season.
But I'm saying, like, since the end of the season and just the different things that are going on, the different sound bites that he has, about coaching in Washington and, the team's worth that much money and I had to buy my own coffee. So like, I feel like for the first time in,
AJ Dewey. Now you can't write it.
I don't know the last time where me personally as a Dolphins fan has felt this optimistic and this much excitement in the offseason coming into draft season.
That was about the great segue. So every year, what do the Dolphins need to continue to develop? This is the first year you're going into this draft. You, myself, Bobby, who's done a phenomenal job, Brett, Stager, Wingate, everyone. We're all talking about draft, but this is the first time we're going in to just fill in extra holes and to get depth on this team to be successful.
Yep.
That is the cool part. is that we don't have a first rounder. We have a mid-second rounder. We have a third rounder. We have a sixth and a seventh rounder. And right now, they'll do whatever they need to do. But in the end, it's all about just filling the needs of the team. Whether it's at running back, whether it's a tight end, whether it's a D tackle, whether it's at nose tackle, whether it's on offensive line, if the guy's sitting there. By the way, speaking of offensive line, they did a side-by-side. Cody Mock, I just want to give you a crazy stat. I couldn't believe this. Do you know that since he started as a freshman, you know when he was a freshman, he was a tight end? I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
He was 6'5", like 215. Yeah. Now he is 6'5", like 290, 6'6", 290. Yeah. I've never seen a transformation in a guy in 4 years like Cody Mock. Holy crap.
Well, you talk about us, not having a first round pick and
who cares?
But not having a first round pick means that we're not going to be reaching for somebody that, you know what I'm saying? Like
we may go up and get him.
It just like I hear all these draft pundits that say the Indianapolis Colts are going to take Richardson from Florida, and I don't see
reach.
Yeah, I think it's a complete reach. Like, and that's what those first 3, 4, 5 spots are going to be. But
even the quarterback, CJ Stroud's not going to be a star his first year. Neither is Bryce Young. No quarterback. If you look at the elite quarterbacks of this NFL, Mike, look at it. Patrick Mahomes sat the first year, had to develop. Bryce Young and CJ Stroud and Will Levis are planned to be starters. Peyton Manning, not a good first year. Josh Allen, not a good first year at all. Herbert was okay. Tua shouldn't have played half a season, was in and out, didn't play. But like the superstar, Andrew Luck, okay first year. No one comes out, balls it in their first year. Anyone. No one does. So for me, it's just, for me, the draft is just so much fun to be looking forward to because it's going to be go get the best player that you think is going to fit your team.
Exactly.
Anyways, we're 33 minutes into the show, guys. We don't want to wait till the end of the show when Bobby kicks us off and he has to go have dinner. If you guys want to join the show and just say hi, you don't even have to talk about football. Just say hello. Come on. Talk about whatever you want, and just shoot the breeze. You're welcome on the show. That's what we do here on the bandwagon. We just want to hear from everybody and just have a good time during the off season as we lead up to the draft, then to OTAs, then to regular training camp, and then next thing you know will be September. It's a lot to look forward to. So overall, they've been talking about the offensive line. People are still harping on that. And the one thing they talked about it on Real Talk Fins Talk with Barry. For me, the whole thing with the offense that I'm telling people a little bit is that in the end, last year, they filled up the offense because that's what Mike McDaniel needed. Right. This year, it was Vic Fangio. They had a top 4 offense last year, even with the so-called mediocre offensive line.
Correct.
Brandon Shell's still out there. There's the draft. There's June. There's always going to be linemen that fall in OTAs and all that. I'm not concerned about what they're doing on offensive line yet, and I'm not concerned about the offense because even if they go into the regular season with the same offensive line, protecting Tua and all that kind of stuff, for me, Tua wasn't pressured a lot. Last year, Tua's biggest enemy was Tua. For me, they will do what they have to do. But if you believe in Mike McDaniel and the offense he's doing, in the end, they have to beef up the offensive line, not for Tua, but for the running game. It's more for the running game because the running game wasn't utilized the way it should have with this offensive line. If you want to beef it up because you're not going to get a bell cow, unless you get a bell cow in the draft, whether it's a Charbonnet or you go get Derrick Henry or you go get Dalvin Cook or you go get unless you go get a star or a guy who's or Jahmyr Gibbs or whoever, like unless you get a bell cow, you need to beef up the offensive line to help your running game, not only Tua, because Tua with pressures was on his problem. When he fell last year, it's because he held onto the ball too long. It had nothing to do with offensive line. Yes, we need to get a right tackle, sure, but I'm not willing to break the bank on an offensive tackle right now. Like I wouldn't blow the bank yet. I don't want to go now. Wait till June. And you want to know what? There's so many guys who are going to drop off, and there are right tackles out there, whether it's a George Fant or there's so many guys who are going out there. And I'm not always worried. And you're an offensive line guy. You're digging the trenches guy. So what's your perspective on people still worrying about the offensive line?
I think you bring up a very good point. Like, everybody keeps saying the O-line was the problem last year, but it was Tua holding the ball too long. Yeah. Both of those, from my understanding, if my memory serves me correct, most pass plays, the ball was out of his hand in 1.2 seconds or 1.3 seconds or something like that. And then on the times that he got the concussion, he was holding the ball for, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, trying to make a play instead of just get rid of the ball. And if after 3 seconds you don't see anybody, get rid of the ball and we'll live to play another day. So as an O-line guy, you want to see it fixed, but I'm not stressing about it because it's not September yet. The draft still needs to happen, and there's going to be a lot more free agents that are going to hit after the draft's done. So I definitely think that it'll get addressed in some capacity. I just say, sit back and
enjoy the ride right now.
Yeah.
Even think about this. Even if they do nothing else, even if they had 0 draft picks, this roster is better than the roster they had last season. And that was with issues where the team players are only going to develop and get better. So Javon Holland's going to get better. Having Jalen Ramsey there and the support of Brandon Jones back, Nick Needham back, and all that. Tua's only going to become back stronger. Waddle's going to be a year stronger from what's happened. The offensive line players who are there are only going to get more developed and be better and more healthier. And the wide receiver cores with Eric Zukama coming up and Berrios and Craig. The team's only getting better. And then you have another year of Jalen Phillips. You're going to have a healthier Bradley Chubb full year in the system. Yeah. It's only going to get better. You have David Long. The team is better on paper now. Right now, they are, for me, a 12 to 13 win team now on paper before the season even starts, and you haven't even drafted your whole team. So exactly, Daniel. Tua's always been a lot of our guys. Honestly, just let him develop this year. This year, he knows it's his make or break year.
Right.
So even though he has his 5th-year option, he knows. Yeah, but they can still go get another quarterback next year if he shits the bed with the way he is $23 million.
Right, but this is the first time ever that he'll be in the same system back to back.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
So if he was, what was he ranked in the middle of the year? First, and the first time
the guy still had that off. I said this last week. Last year, he had 25 interceptions. Take away the game where he had the concussion, he was 25-5. Take away the crappy game, the bad scheming. With those 3 games, Green Bay, San Francisco, and LA, yes, they were December games. They were bad. It was a mixed bag on everyone's part for those games. He had a phenomenal game in Buffalo. The guy literally pretty much was 25-3. With the injuries he had. The guy literally had a very good, and the guy still had the highest passer rating. Even with all those interceptions, those 5-game losing streak, somehow he sustained his passer rating. He sustained the passer rating because he was that efficient in what he was doing, period. Yeah. You know what the highlight of my week, though, by the way, on top of all this? Lamar Jackson is I think the chatter is going to go like this. Odell Beckham is there. Let him go be a Raven. Let everyone shut up.
I was going to ask you if you felt like that meant
100%. He only signed. There's no way he did not sign there, Odell, without talking to Lamar.
Right. I kind of feel the same way.
Odell Beckham Jr. is not going to go there for a 1-year contract at $18 million to be thrown the ball by Tyler Huntley.
Right.
Okay, that ain't going to happen. So for me, that I think seals a deal that he'll play on his non-so-far franchise tag, or maybe you want to know what? At one point, I wouldn't be surprised if they renegotiate and get him his extension of $200 million or $180 million. In the end, I think he'll end up getting his guaranteed money. It won't be as much as he thinks it's going to be. But I think he'll settle there if he knows the pieces around there and a star can maybe go out there. Because Odell Beckham was most successful when he was number 1 in New York.
Right.
When he went to other places, when he had to go to Cleveland, he had Jarvis Landry there. When he went to LA, he was there with Cooper Kupp. The guy was not balanced there. So for me, that's a big thing for me. The other main topic that people are talking about, you talked about the fun guy, was Christian Wilkins. Now that Jeffrey Simmons, the only snafu I feel that the Dolphins have made with the Christian Wilkins situation is if they were going to get him at the number they wanted to get him at, they had to do it before Payne and Simmons and players like that signed. Now he thinks he has a comparable to go up, but Jeffrey Simmons has proven more than what Christian Wilkins has in his career. And Christian Wilkins, no matter what he's performed at, he is not a $18 million or even a $15 million D tackle yet. Right. I think if he's willing to come in at 11 to 13 million, sign the guy tomorrow. But if he thinks he's a $15 to $8 million per player, see what you can get in the draft, see what you can get on the trade market, because we cannot afford to have a $15 to $18 million Christian Wilkins on this roster.
Right.
I don't think it's the right decision. Do you agree or disagree with me?
No, I agree. As much as I love him,
Yeah,
you want to see him more productive, especially in the passing game. And I definitely, do you want him or Darnold?
exactly. No, I don't think they're willing to commit to him. I think honestly, if he's not willing to agree to the number, they're going to let him play on this 5th-year option. Honestly, I really don't think. Greer is not afraid. Honestly, Greer is one of those guys who's so chill. Right. He's willing to play chicken. So unless Fangio sees something, the only person who's going to the only person who will convince Chris Greer that Christian Wilkins is worth 15 to 18 million is Vic Fangio. If Vic Fangio sees something in Christian Wilkins that he said, this is the core of my defense, this is the captain of my defense, I need him there.
Right.
But I think he sort of sacrificed Christian Wilkins' contract at the beginning. We might be able to get him after June 1st with Jalen Ramsey coming in and David Long coming in. Like doing those signings, I really think. Also, I think he's thinking long term in the sense that you're going to have Jalen Phillips, you're going to have those Javon Holland coming up, you're going to have Jalen Waddle coming up. Like for me, those are the key elements I think that are holding him back from giving him big money. And I wouldn't give him big money. I love Christian Wilkins. He's a cool cat. He's one of the cool reasons why it's fun to be a Dolphins fan. Like sitting there in Buffalo, watching that game with Skylar Thompson at center and watching him and Sealer in the end zone and being a duo and being a star like that, it's phenomenal. But at the same time, we're not paying you $18 million to be cool.
I kind of feel like, and this is just me, I mean, I could be completely off, but I feel like he's the type of cat that, give me what you can give me. I want to be here because I feel like he said that he wants to be in Miami long term.
Yeah,
give me whatever you can give me, and we'll make whatever work. And
I think he will be re-signed. I think they'll come to a number. I think he wants to be part of this group. I also think he knows he's already one of the more popular Dolphins. I think if he goes anywhere else, he sort of needs to restart himself. I think the coolness of him, he needs to be in a big market. He needs to have where the eyes are on him. Trust me, he does not want to go play for a team where he's not shown to be beloved. That's for me where I see it. So I think in the end they'll get something done. But I really think he's tied to. I think him I wouldn't be surprised if him and Sealer both get signed at the exact same time.
I love my man Dolphin Thirsty. See you soon, brother.
Yeah, see you, man. He has to go watch the Red Sox lose. And then if Wilkins leaves, who are you going to get to replace the best Allen ball squeezer that ever existed? What would you do there if he's gone? If you trade him, who do you put there? Who do you like?
I don't.
Siaka? Do you see that there's someone there that could take his role in the draft?
I mean, I think there's definitely people in the draft that you could try to get to come in and do it. I mean, will they be as productive as he was, in his rookie year? And not that he was super productive there.
But is Fangio's scheme really reliant on a DT? I don't think it's as reliant as it is on
I think deep cover safeties. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He ain't leaving. It's just the talk about the contract, Daniel, that people are talking about how he's a cool cat. We want him there, but with Simmons' money and Payne's money coming from Washington and Tennessee, that he's going to be asking for big money. And you know what I mean? Yeah, squeezes balls. Yeah, that's what Alan thought, please. But no, overall, it's just a lot of fun right now to be a Dolphins fan. And that's why, for me, to be able to talk about this stuff and is just a lot of fun. It's just, there's nothing to be bored about. This was actually, it's been a quiet week on any movement front, but the fact that they're still talking about what the players are doing in the off season is just a lot of fun for me. And they're filling the holes. Last week, while you're gone, they signed Durham Smythe, and they're doing their housekeeping. They're doing what they need to do to fill the holes. And I think they're just counting down the days. I'm sure for a lot of us, we wish the draft was next week. I personally think that the gap between the draft and free agency and pro days is too long. This is a real lull in the season. And I think that the draft would be more useful, happening this week or next. To have it where it is, it's kind of what do you have to? There's not a lot of filler time. You go watch NFL Live or you go watch Good Morning Football, and they're talking about the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. At least with the Miami Dolphins, at least there's news about the players, and that for me is what's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah. Do you have any other topics you want to talk about tonight, or you're good?
Man, I'm just it's that year, man. We're so close to the draft. I can't wait to be a part of the draft process and the Fins Talk Sports Network doing the draft.
Yeah.
And just see how close we were in all those mock drafts that we've done, to see who's gonna pull what.
I honestly think my prediction right now is the Dolphins don't wait at 51. If you see, if there's a dark, I'm telling you, if there's a running back, if there's if Breesy, for me, the 4 players that I see are the 5. Let's just look at them. If Jack Campbell, Darnell Washington, Cody Mock, Brian Breesy, and what's his name? Were those my main 4? There was one other player. Quarterback, defensive tackle. There may have been one more. If those guys are sitting there in the late 30s, early 40s, he's jumping. Mid 35, he's jumping up to go get these guys.
I've seen a couple mocks recently where like most of the tight ends were still on the board at the beginning of the second round.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's really going to be where there's going to be at least 3 or 4 teams that are going to go reaching.
Yeah.
And then a lot of guys are going to fall.
Yeah.
Right? That's what always happens in these drafts. Someone if you look at what happened go ahead.
No, I would when we talk about the draft and the quarterback situation, I would like to see, honestly, I would like to see the Colts draft move back, and then go after Hooker.
Okay. Bobby just popped in and out, but I don't like this at all personally for me. I don't want this. I really don't think they need to do this in this draft. But the reporters, the Dolphins are all potentially exploring, even though I think it's in the reverse, trading down to acquire more picks in this draft. What do you? Are you a guy about go get the player you need for this draft for this team, or are you about going to get picks? I'm not about getting picks, unless you're trading Cedric.
That's kind of the thing. Like
unless you're trading a player, right?
I see it both ways. Like at that spot at 51, you have several good tight ends that are still going to be on the board. You have several running backs that are going to be on the board. There's the potential of having a couple good linemen on the board at 51. And I would like to stay there and get one of those if at all possible. Now, if their number 1 targets in the second round aren't there, then I guess that's where I could see moving. Or like you were saying, trading Cedric Wilson and being able to pick picks that way.
If they can make cap space by trading a player, go get the picks.
Yeah.
But for me, if one of those players we've all been talking about, whether it's at OT, whether it's at tight end, or whether it's at running back, the 5th player was Jahmyr Gibbs. If Jahmyr Gibbs, Darnell Washington, Cody Mock, Brian Breesy, any of those players are sitting there at the 35-40 range, go get them. Because you're filling a need on this team that you can then have on your team for the next 10 years.
Right.
Like, you're solidifying that. And that's why I think it's most important for me. And yes, we can give a shout out to Chris Greer. Because Real Talk Fin Talk knocked Chris Greer, because a lot of these people like to knock Chris Greer. Chris Greer, people say, well, he's done nothing on the offense. You wonder what? Last year, he appeased McDaniel, new coach. This year, he appeased McFangio, new coach. He's filling the gaps and the needs where he needs to. And honestly, he's very stealth. Let him do what he needs to do with Marvin Allen and Reggie McKenzie. It's still early. It's April. Last year, we were talking, literally last year in September, we were talking about, what people are going to get cut. They're going to fill up this gap. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And that's what they're going to do. That's what the Dolphins are going to do for me. So,
I mean, again, like I said, if you come into the second round and there's a lineman that you're looking at or the tight end, I just think again, I've said a couple times, I feel like it's going to be deep in the running back class. So I'd say either an offensive lineman or a tight end to snag at 51. If those targets aren't there and you're talking about moving 10 spots at the most, Maybe. I don't know.
Honestly,
That's why Chris Greer is the GM and not me.
I know. But you know what's funny part about all this is in the end, no matter what happens on that night, if you had myself, you, Bobby, Brett, Malloy, Thirsty, all of us on the draft shows together, and whoever they pick, we're all going to say, why didn't they go get that guy? So meaning at 51, if literally right now, if literally, I guarantee you all of us would say, if we had the opportunity at Cody Mock, Jahmyr Gibbs, Darnell Washington, and Jack Campbell, those 4 players are sitting there all at the exact same time, and it's the Dolphins pick, everyone's going to have, and Brian Breesy, those 5 players, everyone's going to have a different reason. I guarantee you we're going to have 5 different opinions. All 5 of us are going to have 5 different reasons why to pick that person. I'm going to think one, you're going to think one, Bobby's going to think one, and everyone else is going to think another one. And telling you, that's the thing about the Dolphins Nation is that no matter what, they're going to boo the pick. Even if they got there to Washington, oh, well, you need the offensive lineman more than you need the tight end. No, you need the defensive tackle before you go get that guy. What, you're not going to get a stud linebacker? Are you crazy? Wait, you're not going to go get your bell cow running back to replace the.
And again, like that's what makes it fun is that everybody's going to have their own opinion on what they think, needs to happen, and we'll just
What's up, Tito? Not here.
We'll just it'll be fun to talk about.
Yeah.
See how many people are losing their mind.
Yeah. Honestly, I cannot stop. That's the thing is that it's so attractive. That's the thing. It's like candy. The Miami Dolphins are like candy. It's so much enjoyment. It's like, like I said to Bobby, had he thought about this idea of putting together this phenomenal network 2 years ago, the pull on this, the positivity would be Yeah. He picked, and by the way, the ideas of putting together this network was before we had Tyreek Hill. So maybe the psychic, because he was right about it last year, 10-7 or 9-8, and where the team was and what they were going to develop. Who ended up being right, and who was the man? Bobby. So in the end, no matter what, even if I have my own prediction on what it should be, when in doubt, trust El Jefe. Because in the end, El Jefe has a really good perspective on everything. And that wasn't just a shot. That wasn't just a suck up. Honestly, the man has been right more often than he's been wrong. So got to give praise to El Jefe. So Tristan, your father's always right. Remember that.
always right.
Exactly. So any final words? I know I promised. Oh, here he comes. What's going on, Bob? You have something to say?
Big Bob.
Sometimes.
You wanted to say that.
My dad made me say I'm going to think.
And mute.
Did you enjoy that, Bobby? Anyways, we're heading towards the 9 o'clock hour. I know you want to go be probably with your mom, and Bobby has to go eat supper. And we really appreciate everyone for watching. We'll continue to leave the mic open every week until someone wants to join. We have a lot of great content going on the network. I'm going to do my spiel before we give you the last word, Mike. This week, we just had a great show tonight with Barry Cunningham on Real Talk Fins Talk. You have myself and Michael on the Fins Bandwagon tomorrow. Likely you have Fast Break with Alex and Clutch and everyone who's joining that show. Then you have No Holds Bar with Alex and Alfred in that group. Then Thursday, maybe there'll be a surprise episode of Bottom Up, Fins Up. You never know. Huddle Up and Wait. You never know where it's flagging. Friday night, I'm sure the draft show is back because it's not Easter or Good Friday. I'm sure that's back. Bobby will keep us in the loop on that one. Then you have Fins Talk today on Saturday. Then I'm sure Once Upon a Sunday with Real Fantasy will be back on Sunday night. Then back on Monday night, you're going to have another episode of the Beer and Sports Network. They're a podcast. They're a great show. They had a great guest on last night. And then once again, Eat 10 Street Boys will be back. They didn't have a show last night because of Easter. So there's a lot of great content going on the network. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers. We're having a lot of fun. We can't wait to get towards the draft where we're going to have back-to-back wall-to-wall coverage. Telling you want to have great coverage, don't go watch ESPN, don't go watch NFL Network. Come on the Fins Talk Sports Network, because you know what? We keep it real here. There are no talking heads here. It's real emotion, real fun. And if you don't believe me, one day we'll show you screenshots of our chats. We are no nonsense, pure issue, no fakeness here. We are real smash in your mouth football fans, and all we want to do is have a great time. So everyone, JM, Tito not here, Daniel, Poppy, Dolphin Thirsty, Steve Malloy, El Jefe, Michael, any final words on what's going on with the network and what you're looking forward to?
Man, let's rock and roll, man. This is it's great, right?
Yeah.
We talked about fun being a Dolphins fan this time of year. Like it just something feels different.
Yeah.
It feels different in the air this offseason.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really excited to see, our next couple of shows, Friday and then the next week rolling into draft season and knock it out of the park from there, man. Fins up.
Perfect. Fins up, guys. And before we go, I have to go blow up more balloons. It's my twins, Brody and Zachary, eighth birthday tomorrow, so it's a lot of fun. I have to go prepare for that, have a party for them on Saturday. It's a great week to be a Dolphin fan. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And always, Michael, great to have you back.
Much
Fins
love.
up, everyone.